Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. Fuck I, semi-irrelevant host Shorty. This is one I have been looking forward to, even though the comic I was looking forward to is called Cloven, and this one is The Dirt Beneath the Devil. I thought I'd gone a little bit loopy on that one. I googled it. It was called Cloven, but there's also another comic book called Cloven. I'm not complaining, because The Dirt Beneath the Devil is a really good name for a comic book. I like long names. I like the fact that it rolls off the tongue. Genuinely great start. The fact that there's Dan Panosian involved really elevated it a little bit as well. I'm more used to them as an artist, and it did give me a little bit of pause that it wasn't the artist. He wasn't going to be the artist for it. I'm going to have to check a name here because I'm generally not familiar with this person's work. David Ferracci. Unfortunately, I don't have much to say about their previous work on this one, but I will say, frustratingly, when I got the book and opened it, I had a little bit of like a kind of moment. Because Panosian's art style is very rough and raw and scratchy and deep, and I love it. It was the kind of thing which screaming out to be a Wild West horror comic book art style. This is a little bit softer. It's a little bit more of a thinner line. There's a little bit more of a flow to it. Some of the characters look a little bit more comic booky than like any too much attempt at realism. But I will say, throw Leela Frigian on the colours, I'm a little bit more back on board. That guy knows what he's doing. And as the comic progressed, I realised, yeah, this is the intent here. This isn't going for full all-out, this is a nasty, brutal comic book right from the beginning. It set itself up to be a, well, this is the thing that happened in the Wild West. Let's see how it plays out. And I don't mind that at all. Not saying that I don't like Wild West horror, two of my favourite genre mashed up together, always going to be a fan. But I also just like Wild West stories. I buy a lot of them, got a lot of movies, books, comic books, all that kind of thing, so I'm all in favour of it. And the art style is very much in that. Every character, yes, looks like they could be a caricature of a Wild West character, but it doesn't feel out of place in any shape or form to the story as it's being told to us. And how it's told to us is brilliant. Here we go with me talking about Panosian being amazing again. The start is basically internal narrative explaining the situation of one of the characters, a little bit of their history, a little bit of the build-up to why they are where they are, and who they are as it's going. It does a whole bunch without really wasting a single syllable. It tells you who this character is, or at least the things that you need to know for the start of the story. It doesn't waste any time with fumfrey, it doesn't give you full family backgrounds, it gives you just about enough that you know that you're supposed to be sympathetic towards this person, and that they are going to be main character of the story as it unfolds. We also find a little bit about the world that we're in, the fact that there's going to be a story involving people from the city and from small countries, and going to be a frontier kind of story as well, which I really do like. As somebody who's run games set in Wild West settings, I do like the idea that that portion of American history was a melting pot, and a lot more so than a lot of people will tell you. There was considerably more queer and people of colour than you'd ever expect if you watched any movies about the time period. So the idea that we are taking from different classes at least, and throwing them into the mix, yes, I'm absolutely on board for that one. And then we get the reveal of what's going on. It's not necessarily the most unique idea, but it's also not one that gets overused, which is there is somebody who's died, the will reading will take place at a certain location, and everyone has to go there in the way prescribed by the executor of the will. I like this. It feels very horror movie-esque, but could also just be very weird guy who died and wants to have some fun with people. It also gets a chance to explore the world to a certain degree, and we get introed to all the characters, because this is a fairly character-heavy book. There's a lot of individual people, each with their own personalities and their stories, all of which comes out really quickly, really easy. If I'm going to have one little criticism on this first chapter, it is what happens to one of these people. And it's not necessarily that it is a bad thing, it just feels like it is predictable to a certain degree. It feels like it is leaning into tropes of horror in the same way that it has happened in a teeny slasher summer camp horror movie. It'd be like, yeah, that was absolutely going to happen. I don't mind genre conventions, but I like it when they get twisted to a certain degree, and it is still a satisfying thing. When this happens in the aforementioned genre of movies, nobody complains about it. It is earned, it is deserved, it is fine that it happens. Just, a little bit different. I do think we are going to get quite a lot of different things happening, though, because there is quite a lot of foreshadowing about what's going on here. The Cloven of it all is going to play out, and I think we're going to get some nice twists in the tail as the story gets unfolded. We're going to see that these people are not who we think they are, and their motivations are going to be a lot different. I think the world is not what we've been sold at the beginning. I don't know any of this, but the writing is done so good that I'm like, yeah, I have expectations. My attention has been grabbed, and I can't wait to read the rest of it. That's it from me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!